Hi Neha, thanks for taking your time out. Introducing yourself, Neha is presently working in Hivo Data and she's previously worked in Licious as well and brings a mixed experience of B2C and B2B. Neha, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
So yeah, so I have worked on multiple startups like Hippolyta, Jodo, and also Licious. So Licious was my first company where I joined. So I joined as a developer, and then gradually I turned into to a designer. So yeah, so it's been a long journey, and now I'm also like looking. So I was some time back. I was also looking. I'm at a stage where I'm planning to join my new company as well. So
Awesome. I think there are very few designers in the industry which have like mix of B2C and B2B experience, right? And like could you share insights on what's the journey been like in B2C and B2B? What's the difference? How are you feeling right now having experience in both the industries?
right. So, like in B2C, right? So, first of all, I would like to say about the research part. So, while working in a B2C company, you get like multiple people who are already been so involved in your product, and you get so it's easier to connect with the customers because it's B2C connect with the customers. But in B2B, it's kind of difficult to connect with the customers and talk about their problems and the pain points. So it's relatively much difficult, and also like finding inspiration is also really difficult in B2B, which I have felt. So because while working in a B2C company, like let's say for Licious, so you open your phone and you get 1,000 of apps of any like e-commerce kind of thing, which from which you can get inspiration from. But in B2B domain, you don't get that kind of inspiration. But recently I've been using Mobin as well, because they have recently launched their web feature as well, where you can just see a few like B2B kind of apps and you can get inspiration from. But yeah, that is inspiration thing, and that research part is kind of difficult in B2B. Also at the same time, when you work on these projects, your portfolio get like it sets apart like from the crowd, because that is one thing. Because like most of the designers have their like mobile apps, like commonly mobile apps are in the portfolio, and B2B dashboards are kind of less in the portfolio. So it does give you an edge as well. And also like I have recently noticed that B2B designers are more in demand, while I was searching for job recently. So yeah, so that is my take from B2B and B2C in comparison.
Right. And what kind of problems statements that you've solved in Licious and Hivo in your design journey?
Right. So I have solved like multiple problem statements. So while I was in Licious, I have worked on multiple. So in Licious, there are like two design. So when I used to work there, so there were two design verticals. So one was B2B and one was B2C. So under B2C, we used to work on the mobile app and the web as well. And in B2B space and in the B2B design vertical, we used to work for the people who used to work in the factory, who are drivers, and also who are like internal tools like for like CHC teams. So I remember I was in the B2B design vertical, so where I have worked on multiple like projects, including up. So I used to take care of the whole supply chain, the whole ERP system. So how the raw material is coming to the factory, and how it get processed, and then how it reaches to the customer at the end. So that whole journey which I used to take care of, and to do that seamlessly, we used to like create multiple apps for that. So I worked on an app which was dedicated to the PC workers. So I visited the factory, and then I also cut meat with them, and so to basically know what is their mental model, and also to know about their pain points, because at the end of the day, they are the one who will be using your products. So it is very much essential that you should be knowing your end users problems, and you should not design it on the basis of assumptions and all. So that thing I would like to say, that it's very much important to talk with your customers.
Got it. So, what can you go deeper into the RP system that you worked in, and what was the problem that you were solving that led to you working with the workers directly, right? Can you break down that once?
Yeah, sure. So there were multiple projects on which I worked on. So there was one project, so that was CHC kind of project. So that was a dashboard which is completely dedicated to CHC guys. So these are the customer help cell people who assist customers over calls during their queries. So, and it would help them to completely change their work from being transactional to really focus on softer aspects of interaction, such as listening, empathy, etc. So, to give a brief about the problem statement, so initially the problem statement was, so like there were multiple systems which were in place, and the CSC guy has to juggle between these multiple application. Like there were multiple applications like OMS, POS, Locus, Salesforce, etc. So they have to go to all these dashboards to perform certain actions. So let's suppose there's a journey where a customer is calling us a CSC guy, and that CSC guy is picking up the call, and he has two queries. So first one, he wants to get a refund of his recent order. So that was his one problem. And the second problem he had, like, so I have just placed an order, so where is my order, because I'm unable to track my ongoing order. So these are his two queries. So for the first one, he has to go to POS to check what is the refund status, and also how much amount I can refund to that particular customer. And for that second query, he has to go to OMS to check where he has to go to Locus to check where the delivery partner is and why it has been delayed. So he has to go to these multiple applications to fetch these kind of information, and during that time the customer had to wait for a longer period of time. So that was a major problem, and due to that it caused frustration among those users because they had to wait for a longer period of time. So that was the main problem statement I was given. So to solve that, and it was a vast project, so to solve that I first so I did my research, where I first interacted with the customers and I interacted with the CSC guys as well, and I also did my competitive analysis, where I also interacted with multiple folks who were working with Flipkart and Swiggy, and gone through bunch of their research documents and some key findings as well. And then I conducted few surveys as well. So these were kind of things which I did in my research. And then after that I collected enough insights, and then after that I started creating information architecture for each of the major flow. Like so since it was a dashboard which was being created from scratch, so there were multiple flows which I designed. So first, that how a CSC guy will enter onto this particular dashboard, and then what will be his journey. So first he'll enter the customer suggested mobile number or email, who is on the call right now. Once that is being entered, he will have that customer profile at one end of the screen, and then he'll get a list of all the orders he has done till now and what are the ongoing orders and all. So that was one thing. And once you click, so that's how the journey begins. And once you click on any of those orders, you'll be redirected to that order details page, where you will get all the information related to that order, such as where, so the tracking status, which I just mentioned, and also all the invoice details. So in leashes there, so the order is divided into multiple shipments, and under each shipment there can be multiple orders, and each order can have like n number of shipments. So this was some so previously what used to happen, so whenever, so let's say there is one order, and in that one order there are three shipments, and under three shipment there are two items in each shipment. So let's say there is a customer who is calling and he wants to get refund for just one item in shipment number 2, which can be maybe chicken curry cut. So now he wants to get refund for that one item, but since according to the current flow, the like CI had to go to POS, and POS didn't had a proper visibility of like what is currently, like what is the exact amount of that each item in a particular shipment. So they have to refer to manual Excel sheets as well. So that was the kind of complexity they have to go through, and during that time the customer had to wait for a longer period of time. So what I did, I created an overall invoice view in that view as well, in that order details page, where they can see basically, and they can quickly decide that what is the amount for that one item, and they can refund to that particular customer. So yeah, so these were the things. And also I would say I also focused on how to collaborate with like multiple stakeholders. So this is also one of the crucial part, I would say, which a product designer had to do, because as a product designer you have to wear like multiple hats, and also working in a startup is also, so you have to do multiple things at the same time. And also in this project there were multiple stakeholders involved, like there were product managers, there were founders who were also involved, and then the CSC head was involved, the engineering lead was involved. So there are multiple stakeholders who were involved, and sometimes like it becomes difficult to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So to do that, what I used to do, like at every stage I used to conduct a brainstorming session or a kind of session where people can give their views and we can talk about it, and whatever the constructive feedback I am getting, so I used to note it down, and then we used to decide that what all things we need to work on, and also there are some things that we might have missed on, and in that meeting somebody pointed it out, and then we used to work on that. So yeah, so it's a kind of collaborative process, so you don't have to work alone in this particular thing. And at every stage you must take feedback, not only from designers but also from other stakeholders as well, because I feel that it, like in my journey, that the kind of feedback that like product managers or other stakeholders give sometimes is POV as well. So it's nice to see that what perspective they have for this particular project. So yeah, I would suggest that take feedback from everyone who is involved in this project and who knows the context of this project, and obviously the designers as well.
Got it. I think on a problem statement level, what I've understood is earlier your internal member who was solving the customer problem had to move from one to the other, trying to solve the customer problem, which led to delayed responses and
Yeah.
also affected had like psychological effects on the customer end as well, which obviously leading to drop off on the platforms as well. And then what you did as a solution is to bring everything in one space itself, right? And you've also mentioned interaction being a very important role, and then coming to different kind of solution discovery. So since this seems like a very complex system, right? Because you bought certain things which were on paper where they had to refer to certain logs which largely are manual in nature and bring them digital as well. So can you go deeper into how did you bring about that ease in a user using the product that you were making, right? Internally, the person can you go deeper into the psychological nudges, the feature additions, right? How did you tackle all of that, with an objective of customer, whoever is externally interacting with the user who is internally working, that interaction becomes seamless and drop offs decrease with increase of complete resolution.
Right, right. So that's a very good question, I would say. So to do that first, so that's why I did an extensive research. So first of all, I used to note down every insight I used to get from those calls which I had with the customers. So I used to see that, and I also used to note, and I also like tried to understand the mental model of how a CCHC guy is navigating over this multiple app applications to solve a particular problem, and also how they are trying to empathize with the customer at the same time. So I created a list of all the problems they used to face. So like a few of them which I just mentioned, that giving refunds and also getting to know where the delivery partner is, or there are multiple other things as well. So sometimes the user just want to know about basic product related information as well. So like there are multiple things which were there. So there are customer requests, customer complaints, customer queries were also there. So sometimes they just want to just modify the order or reschedule the order, or just sometimes they on their mobile number or their email ID. So these were kind of problems they used to face. So I made sure that every problem, so these problems were connected to each other, and once I am creating that order details view or that order detail page, I made sure that every problems get solved onto this through this particular plat. And then I also used to get feedback from the CSC people as well. So once it went live, right? So we first deployed it into the beta stage, and then we had a like 2 week kind of training session with those CHC people, where we basically make them understand about whole workflow and how you can use this particular dashboard. So since people were not very tech savvy, and we kept that in mind, and also these people were trained from multiple years to use these particular platforms. So we made sure that the nomenclature remains the same, and also it should be easy to use for them because they are trained to use those particular platforms, even though that is not very user friendly, but they are trained right now. So we made sure that everyone can understand this particular dashboard. So for that we did a training session for around 2 weeks, I guess. And then at first we used to like teach them about the whole workflow. We used to take few examples as well, like how you can give refund, how you can track a particular order where the delivery partner is, or to sort, or how you can create a ticket, or how you can resolve a ticket. So these major problems, so we took a few of them, and then we used to demonstrate them that this is how it is done. And also, so we used to get like multiple feedbacks, and we used to solve them as well on like during that session. So yeah, so we trained them first, and then after it went live, so yeah, so once it started, right, so there were multiple metrics also which we thought that we'll be able to improve it. So the first one was to reduce the average waiting period of every call. So that got reduced by 50% once it went live. And the second thing was, which we were targeted to improve, that to just eliminate the usage of Salesforce from our ecosystem, because it costed us a lot of money, and we wanted to save that amount of money. So, and to be able to create tickets and to resolve the tickets from this particular dashboard, so we were able to do that, and we eliminated the usage of Salesforce from our ecosystem. And also we did a refund personalization thing as well, so where to improve the empathy. So that refund personalization thing, I would tell you an example, right? So there is this screen where there is this customer profile at the left hand side. So let's assume there is a customer who is calling right now, and he's asking for just to get the refund for his particular order. But now, like, so now the CSC guy has can go for to give that particular amount of refund, plus he can add his favorite product as well, because
Right.
now he has this data that okay, this is his favorite product, and this favorite product is based on the order history. So now he can add his favorite product. So that refund personalization thing, which we also introduced it through this particular dashboard, and we got appreciation from real customers like once it went live. So yeah, so that's how it went. So there were multiple things which I also learned from this project, like how you communicate well with the end users, and how you communicate with your own team members as well, to make sure that everyone is on the same page. And also, when you know that you are the only designer here working on this project, so it becomes crucial for you to know that when to, like, you should also be selective in taking feedbacks as well. Like, you know, right, that every feedback is not very much constructive, and it's very vague as well. So you should know when to ignore such kind of feedbacks, and when to take constructive feedback. Also, you should not be like stick to a particular solution which you have created, because there's always a room for improvement. So
Right.
once yeah, so you should be able, so once the design is shipped, so that's just the beginning, because once it gets shipped and once it went live, there will be feedbacks which will be coming, and then you'll be tracking the metrics, and then according to that you are going to improve your designs. So there should always is a room for improvement whenever you design anything. So that's what I feel.
Right. So to summarize, the achievements that you've made is one, you did personalization of, refund personalization happened. Second was you reduced the average call rate by 50%. I think that's a great metric that you can boast about, right? And third is you eliminated use of Salesforce itself in your team, and you created your own system to the complaint resolution process at your end. Perfect. I think, and moving on to the last bit, right? So you moved into, you I think had a mix of B2B to a B2C experience, but what I sense is you had a deep user research experience at your end while you were doing it, because I think you spoke to the real customers who were working on the platform, you understood their customer journey, and then you also went about kind of onboarding them on the platform itself. It's properly a nuanced user research experience that you've got. How did this help you in in the present B2B job that you're doing, and what would you kind of recommend to designers who are starting out or are at a junior to mid senior level?
Yeah, sure. So once I joined Hivo Data, so Hivo Data was like is a B2B startup. So things were very much different. Like there was in Licious, so there was a difference in design culture as well. So once I joined here, so they were like, so I was someone who is very much into UX, like problem solving things. So for every project, right, it is very much essential to talk with customers. But in B2B domain, you can't really talk with customers. You don't get that because the users are altogether different. They are like developers who are working in some XYZ company. So they are not very much into like giving interviews or like talking with you. So yeah, so you don't get much that kind of opportunity in real. But what so that was one thing which I realized when I joined Vivo Data. So what thing which I so then after that I started approaching to customer success team. So they are the ones who are solving these kind of problems, and they are talking to like multiple people on the day to day basis. So I used to approach them. So whenever any project comes up, so I used to have like brainstorming session with my product manager, like why we are even doing this, why we're even solving this particular problem statement, and is there any chance like we have tried to solve it in the past as well, and if yes, why didn't worked out, and do we have any enough data to like back this particular problem statement, and also what kind of users who are facing this kind of problem. So either they are like paid users or they are like free users, and what and they are like enterprise users, or they are like some small startups. So these kind of questions I usually ask, and then after that I used to like go to the customer success team as well to get more insights about these kind of problems. And yeah, and that helped me a lot because talking to them I used to get to know about multiple things which was not even which so me and my product manager was actively involved in these kind of activities. He was also very much keen to know about the real problems. So we used to go to the customer success team, and we used to talk about those things, and we used to know multiple other things as well, which he also didn't knew that also can be another kind of problem. So we used to add that kind of problem also in our PRD scope. So yeah, so we used to do these kind of activities, and then we used to watch full story videos as well. So full story, so for those who don't know about it, so full story is a kind of platform where you can basically see that how a customer is interacting on your particular dashboard, and how they are interacting with that particular CTA which you just designed, and is that the right way like they are interacting on that particular platform. So yeah, you can just basically observe. It's a kind of recorded sessions. So I used to watch those full story videos as well. And then and in few projects I also did the customer interviews as well. So yeah, so these were the things which I so for new designers who are coming up in this field, and especially in B2B domain, I would strictly suggest that you should be actively involved in these kind of things, because no one is going to like pick your hand and then tell you that you have to do those things and this is right set path for you. No one is going to do that in any company. You have to take that initiative, be involved in those calls, talk to people, because in startups, right, because in startups you have that, because there are limited number of people, so you can talk to multiple people, and once you talk to those people you will realize that there are multiple things which I don't even know. So you have to write like ask those questions. And also there's no, because I feel that there's nothing as right or wrong question, because and you should never hesitate to like ask those questions. So I think to have that right mindset is very much important in any job. So yeah, asking those questions and and don't hesitate to like ask those questions. So it's fine even if you don't know it, so in the process you will eventually know everything. So
Right. Perfect. Perfect. I think we are short on time. I would love to carry forward this conversation of B2B segment probably in the future when we talk, have like a next conversation session. But thanks for your time. It's been very insightful. The meat that you've given probably would help other designers and would help the organizations grow 2x, 3x and understand the value of really good design talent. Hopefully we connect in future. Thank you.
sure, it was nice talking to you. Thanks, Ali.